Welcome to the Your Music Industry Podcast.
The podcast that gives you a direct route into the music industry's greatest minds. Your Music Industry is proudly brought to you by the Liverpool Audio Network with your host, Daniel Fisher-Jones.
Welcome to episode number 13 of the Your Music Industry Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you're a new listener, welcome to Your Music Industry. I look forward to hearing what you think. And if you're one of our regular listeners, a big thank you to you too. We have been on a little bit of a break lately. This has mainly been due to me being pretty overwhelmed and having a little break and kind of recalibrating where I'm up to in life. But yeah, I'm back, Your Music Industry back, and some of the guests along with today's are absolutely insane. So make sure to press that subscribe button and be engaged. So today's episode, all I can say is it's an absolute journey with Kinnerman. We cover all things from what was going on before Kinnerman to Toolroom Records and Kaluki to a whole range of topics through his life, basically, through his musical career and beyond that. So yeah, this is going to be an insane conversation, so make sure you're tuned in and ready to go. But before we get there and before we get to the conversation, it's an absolute pleasure to announce that today's episode is the launch of a brand new partnership with the one and only Help Musicians UK. Over this episode and future episodes, we are promoting the work that they do, including the Music Man's Matter listening ear and support line for people in the industry. So yeah, more on that later, but over to Kinnerman. Welcome, Kinnerman, to the Your Music Industry Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to you today all about your journey so far in the world of electronic music and also to touch upon what's next in the world of Kinnerman. So how are you?
Yeah, all good, man. How was yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, really. Yeah, just keeping busy, as I suppose you are too.
Yeah.
So let's go from the beginning. So your first release was Hip House on Elrow, is that right?
Yeah. So, actually, I've been making music for a long time now. Probably about, I started when I was 14, so 12 years. 12 years last week it was. God,
wow,
feels like such a longer time. It feels like, to be honest. But yeah, so Kinnerman actually began just over 2 years ago, and it came about when we was all in Ibiza, and a few friends were saying like, why didn't you change your name? About, you've been going as James. I was going as my full name, James Kinnerman, for a long time. So Kinnerman just came about when I was in Ibiza, and then from there I came back and I just stayed in the studio literally for 6 months. Like, literally was just sleeping on the couch, going home, having a shower, and then just coming back, making tunes and sleeping on the couch day in, day out. Literally hardcore for like 6 months straight.
Yeah. So, like, as soon as that released Hip House on Elrow Music, wasn't it like at the top of charts and everything? Like, how could you walk me and the listeners through like how you got such traction at the start?
Well, to be honest with you, I kind of like, I quit a job that I was in. That's why I kind of started Kuruba and Kinnerman and everything. And it was kind of like, I felt like it was a last chance, like, give it your everything now. So what I done was, like, obviously I put a lot of money behind sponsored posts, and obviously it helped being signed to one of the biggest brands, if not the biggest brand in dance music, Elrow. I mean, that helped majorly. Being signed to that label was just a big kind of breakthrough for me. I'm sure that probably helped push it towards the charts anyway. But then on top of that, I also had a lot of people that support me, because obviously doing Kuruba and in the city and elsewhere. And then once it was in the chart, it was kind of like, without sounding big-headed, the track was good enough to kind of gain the sales itself anyway. So once just to break in, it was to kind of like just leave it to do its own little thing now. And I was surprised that it hit number 11 in the top 100 Tech House. I can't remember where it hit overall, but yeah, number 11 in the top 100 Tech House chart. And it stayed there for quite a while, so I think that's probably where it firmly, like, kind of like, it kicked me off with a bang, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. So do you do that a lot now, understanding how, like, if you get at least in the top 100, it's going to kind of gain traction in itself through gaining all that exposure?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously you've got your standard kind of like the big hitters, Alan Fitzpatrick, Jamie Jones, all them, like their name just, people just buy, you know, and support because they're just big hitters all the time. Do you know what I mean? They know that the quality is going to be guaranteed. I feel like now, with people seeing me in the charts a little bit, obviously it's made my life a little bit easier, that once it's in the charts, they can kind of rely on that. Well, hopefully I feel like they can kind of rely on that I'm a good producer, and they like me songs. Yeah, I mean, nowadays, yeah, I've got the confidence to say once it's in the chart, it can kind of do its own thing, yeah.
Yeah. So say Hip House, you said you put a lot of like sponsored posts on. How did you like build them? Were they like videos of the tracks being played out live, or was it like of the artwork, or was there anything specifically that like really helped get that track out there with the sponsored posts? Well,
to be honest, Elrow were doing like all cool videos with like the confetti cannons going off and this, that, the other. And I just thought like I'd do like make my own little video to say that, you know, I've got a track coming out on Elrow, blah, blah, blah. But putting their kind of production in the background helped, obviously, because kind of looks like a crowd reaction. So it was kind of like a bit of a cheat in a way. Do you know what I mean? To show them this is what Elrow's party's about, but this is my track in the background. It weren't like me saying, hey, this is this DJ playing it. It was just literally a promotion video saying Kinnerman, Hip House, out now on Elrow Music. But the video that I knocked up looked quite cool, and I think that helped. And then obviously Duke de Monson, I can't remember, it's quite a while ago, but Duke de Monson and a few other DJs got behind it. Monkey on Radio 1 played it twice. You know, all the things like that. BBC Radio 1, like arguably the biggest station in the world, God knows how many million listeners, on the night, like with Monkey, you know, series presenter at the time. All the kind of traction just helped. I think it weren't just like socials as one, it was all the other things too, you know, radio, socials, DJs playing it, how I promote it, not just on socials but speaking to people, you know what I mean, playing the track out, all that kind of stuff.
So it was all different pieces of the puzzle all building together, this big hype and getting that kind of traction going. Yeah,
I think like timing as well, like you can't just I mean, don't expect to get big pull on, especially in the UK, if you're posting at 5 a.m. on a Saturday night. You know, it's not going to happen. So it was like I was targeting like the posts, like being clever about it. Like, okay, I'm going to post that, you know, maybe 6:30 on a Sunday night when people are just chilling out on the phones. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that, like just not being stupid about it, because you don't want to ram it down people's throats, but then you want to get the best exposure at the right time. So I was kind of like looking online, like when are people most online and all that kind of stuff as well. So, but then as well, engaging with people and just speaking to people and just like letting them kind of like check me out, and, you know, introducing myself as a producer to people that haven't heard of me.
How did you go about that process? Was it like through in person at gigs, or was it just like DMs on Instagram, or?
Yeah, I mean, just mostly, you know what, I was just partying loads, and I was like getting backstage with people, and then I was mingling, and then, you know, obviously with meeting people and stuff like that, you kind of meet other people, and it was just that kind of process, really, the spider's web of networking, really, you know what I mean? You meet that person, that leads you to that person, and that was it, really.
So let's talk about why you got into music in the first place. So you've been making music for 12 years now. What got you into it in the first place?
My dad's an actual mobile DJ. So he's done like functions and weddings and all that pretty much all of his life. When I was 6 years old, he couldn't find a babysitter for me this one night, so he was like, well, I've got work, I have to work, otherwise he'd lose his residency in this pub that he was playing at. So he was like, sorry, I'll bring him with me. Do you know what I mean? took me with him, and then, you know, after a while, I think he must have realised, you know what, I can save myself here. I probably, God knows how much he was paying the babysitter at the time. Do you know what I mean? And then he was thinking, I can save a bit of money here, so I'll just take him every week. So then in the end, it turned into like he was taking me every week, and must have been about after 3 weeks, because back then there was no phones and all that I could play on. It was literally, here's a half glass of Coke, sit in a corner and shut up. That was all it was. So I mean, that was the journey. And then he went to the bar or went to the toilet or something, and I went up and pressed the button, and it just stopped all the sound. of the music, because back then it was like he had these CD players that was like just one big massive giant button on each CD player, and if you pressed it twice it would stop the whole CD, and if you stopped the whole CD that meant it would take about 30 seconds for the CD to just start spinning again, and then you'd have to choose a track and then press play, because it was functions that he was doing, it weren't like all mixing and that. So everyone booed me, and I cried and laughed, and like cried and ran away, and everyone laughed as well. And then the next week I went in and I watched a little bit more of what he was doing. I was like, what's that? You know, the faders on the top, obviously. But I was thinking, what's he moving there? And why is he, when he pressing that button, nothing's happening? Do you get what I mean? It was just just watching. And then he went to bar. I didn't know at the time he was watching what I'd done. And I pressed the button and nothing happened. So then I just slammed the faders down and slammed the others up. And it literally just blasted out the speakers. I can just remember it being so loud. And it was like this proper hard dance track. And then there was loads of like scallies in the back, and they were all like going, yes, go on lad, you know what I mean? And I got this buzz, and I was just like, that was it. I was hooked from that day, because it was just like, I felt like I had a taste of like what it could be to be the worst thing happen, you know, the crowd booing you, and then a taste of what it's like when the crowd cheers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just that real euphoria,
And then obviously as the years gone on, I've just kind of gone into like, you know, I don't just want to be playing in a, you know, function room playing Van Morrison and Mustang Sally and all that kind of stuff. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm gonna get into like beat matching and proper turntables and stuff, and went through the whole phase of I was 9 years old, you know, trying to beat match, trying to scratch, trying to do all that kind of stuff, but hanging out in record stores really, and you know, just constantly like, you know, with John Cotton, like one of the DJs in Liverpool, big name in Liverpool, and like I used to like, you know, rub shoulders with him in freebeats when I was like 9, and all the lads, you know, Rob Kane, Tom Tuft, all them, and they were like my kind of like local heroes growing up, do you know what I mean? Lee Bullard and stuff, that was like all what I was into. And then see, as the years progress, my musical genres change and taste changes and everything, and just to where we are today really.
Wow, that's insane, because like I know myself from going to 3-beat all the time, especially like the people you see when you're in there, to be in there from a young age, that must have been just like literally insane, especially with like John Cotton at the time and everyone. They were literally like, well, they still are legends, but like they were like the idols of Liverpool, so to be catching up with them and like learning from them as well, that must have been insane. Yeah,
it was mad, because you used to go in with like tapes, and I'd hand John Cotton a tape and he'd hand me a CD, and I used to always think, how's he putting his mix on a CD? Little thing, you know, that was just interesting at the time.
So let's skip forward, say like 5 or 10 years, you're getting into music. How did you like start learning music? Was it the good old way of like jumping on YouTube and learning from YouTube, or
nothing like that? Like YouTube weren't really as big as what it is now back then. When I was 14, it was kind of like it was going off, but it weren't like you couldn't find as what you can find today. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
You can find literally anything these days. You know, there's probably a review on how to close a car door. But I mean, when I started, it was like, I remember I was just being on MSN with my mate, and I literally got a crack copy of Propellerhead Reason, to be honest. And he gave me it, installed it for me. And I was like, can you show me how to use it? And he was like, nah, learn it yourself, you know what I mean? And I was like, right,
yeah.
Where do we start here? So it was literally just like experimenting constantly. I think for the first week I was trying to load a sample into a synthesizer as a preset. So it went like I literally didn't have a clue. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't understand the difference between a synthesizer and a sampler. It was just, you know, that's how, you know what I mean? It was proper, didn't know. And Reason, just to look at Reason 4 is just so complicated in itself anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think for the first 6 months too, I didn't have it on where it automatically wires up things for you. So when you make like an insert, for example, you put like a compressor on something, I had to wire it all in myself. So I learned literally like the hardest way possible, and you know, inputs, outputs, routing, sends, returns, all that kind of stuff. And then just self-learned it. And then I went to college, studied a little bit as well. But by this point, I was already kind of like onto sequencing. You know what I mean? I knew quite a bit, but that just helped me kind of like understand acoustics and synthesis and just songwriting skills across recording, you know, lots of different things really. And then I was on Cubase in college, stayed on Cubase for a few years, over 8 years or something, maybe a little bit less, and then moved over to Ableton about 2 years ago.
And how you finding Ableton?
It's just so much easier. It's just dead easy. Anyone can do it. It's like it's just drag and drop in it really.
So when you say you're jamming out, starting a new track, do you start in the session view or do you start in the arrangement view? Like,
I always start in the arrangement view. I feel like the session view to me is just for live, really, because I look at that as like session view is literally like a live session. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how I feel like it's catered for anyway. And then the arrangement view is just like that's how every door has always looked to me. Do you get what I mean? That view. So I've always gone with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So say for example your latest release on Toolroom, which is Bad Days, is that right?
Yeah.
Could you talk me through like how you got going with that track, say in Ableton?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I always start off with the drums. Start off with a kick, choose a kick. I've got like quite a select few kicks. I've got like my own sample pack of like sounds that I've just created, sampled and kind of like measure other samples and made my own kind of sample out of it and stuff like that. So I kind of go to there as like a quick start off. I always try and work fast to get the creative idea down as natural as it can be. I feel like if you're trying too hard, it's not coming out naturally. It's, you know, you may as well just walk out the studio and come back another day. So the creative idea came about with just purely like just literally being in the studio, how I'd start every other track, starting off with the drums. I was listening to like a track by Andrew Miller called Godfather Dance, good friend of mine, wicked producer, and then I kind of like had listened to his tune and I heard like all these like saxes and horns, more brass instruments. I can't put my finger on what it is at the top of my head, but all these brass instruments playing in the background, and it was like this really energetic track. And then I was just like playing around, sampling horns and stuff like this. I was just, you know, just messing about. And then, you know, as one thing led to another, the track just came about. I had a track ages ago where I've sampled Amy Winehouse with a song called Stronger Than Me. I've literally just like looped like 2-3 seconds. And I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm sure something that states that you can have like a second or two of a vocal or something like that. I mean, who knows, but it's dance music, innit?
Yeah. Just if anyone's going to do that, make sure you do check out online. So yeah, Bad Days released on the 1st of Feb on Toolroom. How's that journey been with Toolroom? Because weren't you down at Toolroom HQ not so long ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's been wicked so far. I've had, obviously, that release on the VA. They've booked me for Brighton Music Conference and playing with them next Saturday. Not this Saturday, next Saturday, in Studio 338. So yeah, Brighton Music Conference with them, Studio 338 with them. Who knows, you may see me in Ibiza too. I won't say anymore, but yeah, you know, Ibiza's on the cards, that's all I'll say.
That's superb.
And then, yeah, feel like a close-knit family, you know, I'm happy to be a part of it, to be honest with you. Good bunch. Mark's class, all the lads, A&R guys, Miles, Matt Smallwood, Pete, everyone, you know, they're all good bunch. They look after their artists well. As a record label, I think they were the biggest selling record label of 2018. So, no complaints there.
Yeah. So does that really help, having like this kind of like tribe behind you with all the different artists, with not only the creative side of things but the business side of things as well? Does that really help, like, kind of not motivate you but like inspire you to all like work together, collaborate and get more electronic music out there in the world? Oh
yeah, of course. I mean, I think like as Kaluki goes, I was with Kaluki for a while, they kind of had that close-knit family as well, and I feel close with them too. You know, I'm part of K1 Management, which is part of Kaluki, and we're all quite like a close family there. Toolroom have the same kind of concept, so yeah, I mean, it certainly helps because we all kind of like speak to each other, support each other. that's what dance music is to me, and always will be. It's like, it's about having that community vibe to it, you know what I mean? Like, not just the producers, not just the DJs, but the management, the DJs, the agents, the ravers, most importantly, you know, we're all kind of like as one.
Do you think that's really important for a label, and that's why maybe those labels are doing so well, because they are like tight-knit families?
Oh, totally. Like, it's like, feels like a gang. Do you get what I mean? It's like, we're better than you. But like, you know, I think the whole family situation, as far as the label comes, has to be like that. Because if you don't feel like you're a part of something, then what's the point in being a part of something?
Yeah. Amen to that. So you mentioned then that your cable management is part of Kaluki. Was that when you signed to Kaluki? Was like the management like assigned to you, or could you talk us through that process? So
basically, what happened was it didn't happen after getting signed to Kaluki or anything. So Hip House came out, and I had like a lot of people, in a way you could say, like talking about me, but I didn't know too much. I like, people have heard of me before Kinnerman even began, to be fair. So like, you know, my foot was kind of like, people knew stuff was coming, to get them in. And I always got told, like, you know, it's not, before Kinnerman happened, people were always saying like, it's not a matter of like if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when's it going to happen for you. And I was like, you know, you're always constantly trying to get there. So I was going to Barcelona with my friend Danny, and as I was in the airport, this random number just called me up, and it was my now manager David Bourne. He was like, listen, you know, I managed Del 30, he named a few other people and stuff, and we were just talking. He's like, I'm really interested in managing you. I feel like I could, you know, help you out and bring a few things to the table for you, and, you know, guide me in a direction of another view on things, which is, to me, like, my manager's like me as a second person. Do you get what I mean? He's like, I can always question him over things, he can question me over things, and, you know, obviously I have kind of last say, but he guides things, to get what I mean, and that's how I like it. So he approached me after hearing from a few people, like saying, look, you should manage Kinnerman, and feel like you're going to break through properly and this to the other. So we didn't rush into things, and that to me is a really important thing. Like, don't be getting overexcited if you're getting approached by management and all that. It's like, you know, it's, in a way, it's not a big deal, because by the end of the day, the only person that's going to make your career is you. That's the biggest thing, and you know what I mean. Your management's there to help guide you in the right direction. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, Dave was like, you know, go to Barca, enjoy yourself. When you get back, speak to me and I'll come and meet you. So, obviously knowing that he was from Wilmslow and stuff, I was like, you know, he seems keen. He travelled straight down. I got in the studio as soon as I came back from Barca, and we had a good chat. And then, yeah, signed some paperwork like a few weeks later. And then K1 began after about a year. So David's joined K1, and then Lee Haslam's joined K1, a few other people, Ross Canavan and stuff. So yeah, they all kind of like, it's just like a huge management company in a way, of managers managing their artists, but all under one now. So it's like one big family, you know what I mean? And the good thing is as well is like, that if the managers ever had problems or whatever, they can speak to the other managers that are in K1, to get what I mean? So it's like, no, there's never going to be a problem, to get what I mean? We've all got each other's back, and that's what I love about it, really.
Help Musicians UK is proud to support this episode of the Your Music Industry podcast. Help Musicians UK is an independent charity which aims to make a meaningful difference to the lives of musicians. It offers a broad range of help, support and opportunities to empower musicians at all stages of their lives. The charity provides an integrated programme of health and welfare services and creative development funding opportunities. There is also Music Minds Matter, an around-the-clock listen and ear service and support line for the music industry, as well as a unique hearing health scheme which aims to prevent hearing problems that would otherwise bring musicians' careers to an untimely end. The Music Minds Matter listen and ear and support service is there for anyone who works in music who is struggling to cope. It doesn't have to be a crisis or even about music. There are trained advisors there to help. please contact Music Minds Matter day or night on 0808 802 8008 or email mmm@helpmusicians.org.uk. So say for some emerging talent in electronic music, whether tech house or just drum and bass or anything, have you got any tips for someone, whether they're looking for a manager or if a manager's approaching them, maybe how to see if it's going to work?
First and foremost, see what you're after. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you think you could do it yourself, then do it yourself. Do you get what I mean? What's the point in having a manager? To me, it was like, I mean, if people think, oh yeah, your manager must just send all your demos out for you and kind of do all that. No, that doesn't happen. I do all my demos. I like that kind of like having the artist label relationship. But, you know, not saying it happens all the time. He does do demos now and again when I say to him, it's to this person, it's to that person or whatever. But majority of the time it's me. My advice would be just see how you get on with the person. I mean, you don't want to have a manager that's just like, you know, in a way, strictly just business. Like, I get on with my manager like he's a brother, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, at times we have our little, you know, I don't think you should do this and I think you should do that, but you know what I mean? We have our differences, but if everything was always rosy, I don't think I'd be where I am today, do you get what I mean? We've got to kind of have our little moments. But yeah, I think get on with them. That's your first thing that you want to be able to know. And make sure that they got a good work ethic, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to be managed by someone that's like managing like all the biggest names, because especially at the stage I'm at, because I'd feel like that I'd always be left at the back, to get what I mean?
Yeah, totally. So you've touched upon kind of the relationships, kind of educating yourself. So maybe we could talk about Kuruba for a little bit. So what was the story of Kuruba? What inspired you to make your own studio and teach aspiring emerging talent? Yeah,
so I was tutoring originally before, like, so I was 16, leave college or whatever, I can't remember what age I was, leave college, and then I was tutoring people in mine, just in my home studio, in my house, well, when I was living with my mum. And then that kind of like didn't work out. Like money wise, it was good, but like it weren't like a solid income. And then I tried to run a record label, signed Seb Fontaine, done all sorts. Again, that didn't work out. So it was kind of like, I was like, fucking hell, I just can't, struggling to make money from the industry, you know what I mean? And then, so when I got a job, just a standard job, you know what I mean? Like everyone does, to try and get some money in. And I've said to myself, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a job, that decent pay, you know what I mean? So I went started doing like admin work for this company that was selling stuff on eBay and Amazon. And within 2 years, I built myself up to a buyer for the company. And I was on like a 45 grand a year salary, and I was like making good money, you know, for my age at like 21 or whatever it was. And then I just kind of like decided, you know what, I'm sick of this, to get what I mean? 6 days a week, literally like, you know, just felt like a puppet to society, just constantly working. Like more to life than that, you know what I mean? Got no mortgage, got no kids, single at the time, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, the world's my oyster. Why am I in a job that's just providing money? Because money doesn't make me happy, you know what I mean? It's music. So I left the job. Funnily enough, this lad messaged me straight away the next day. He's like, do you do tutoring? I was like, wow, that's weird. I've just left the job. And I was thinking about doing tutoring just to, you know what I mean, bring in some money. So I was like, yeah. And then I'm tutoring him day in, day out, literally. And then 3 months later, he's like, I've got a garage there. I'm going to build a studio. So me and Steve, my best mate, built a studio together, and that's how Kuruba came about.
Wow, that's insane, especially for it to be like so close to home and with your mate. How you find that relationship, being business partners from best mates?
Boss, because when we're business, we're business. When we're mates, we're mates. And we've always been like that, you get what I mean? And like, if there's any problems or whatever, we just tell each other straight. It's like, you've got to be like that. You've got to have a tough backbone in business, and then, you know, once you leave that door, business is shut, do you get what I mean? Like, back to yourself. I think that's one thing I've kind of learned, like trying to, at the moment I'm struggling with like trying to balance life with music. You get what I mean? Like, I want to try and, leave the studio and forget about it and come home and not look at my phone or not look at, got a new email, check out this promo or whatever. I'll always get round to like listening to people's stuff, but in the past it was just constantly like, I was just, you know what I mean, listening all the time, and now I'm trying to be like, right, I'm home now, I'm going to put my feet up, I'm going to watch a film, do you know what I mean? I'm going to chill out and try and put it to the back of my head, you know what I mean? And like have a life as well as music, even though it is everything I want, you've got to be able to relax at times too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. So for the listeners, what is Kuruba and what do you offer in case they're looking to get into music or they're just needing some help in tuition?
Okay, so first and foremost, Kuruba Studios is a studio where I tutor people on a one-to-one, mostly doing courses with people, so that's like 8 sessions. Each session is 5 hours long. So I teach people on terms of how to brand themselves, how to make music if they're a beginner, how to learn the basics of Ableton up to advanced, up to intermediate, whether it's Ableton, Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, whatever you want. Then, there's so much more to Kuruba than just that. I do mix downs for people, recording, all sorts, it's various services that a music studio has to offer, really.
So if any listeners want to get in the studio with Kinnerman, check out Kuruba Studios. Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, with being full-time in electronic music, living your dream, is there any one income stream that funds you more than any other?
Gigs.
Wow.
100%.
And do you have an agent, a booking agent, or is it all through your management?
I have a booking agent. My management, they work together. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, my booking agent at the moment is Alice, a platform.
Cool. That's interesting. How's that journey been? As obviously, there's a lot of stories out there with tour schedules really kind of hitting home and like being unhealthy and sometimes toxic for the artist. Have you had anything like that, or is your agent, you all aware of like your limits or like health, really? To
be totally honest with you, like when it comes down to this, they all know that I'll just take as much that gets lashed at me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
To be honest, like if someone said to me now, you've got to go to Russia and then you've got to go to Austria or whatever. If someone said to me now, you are going on a 365 day tour, I'd take it. 100% take it. Christmas Day, I was in Austria, yeah. And this was crazy. I literally woke up at 6 a.m. because with my girlfriend and the baby, and then went obviously done the whole family thing. 2 o'clock left for the airport to Manchester, so Liverpool to Manchester, and then flew to Munich. Then a 2-hour drive from Munich to Salzburg, and then as soon as I got out the car, just went straight on the decks, played. Then jumped back in the car, another 2-hour drive back to Munich. Then flew back to Manchester. Obviously no sleep. Went home, a little nap for like 3 hours, and then jumped back in the car, straight up to Manchester, played Manchester the next day, and then for Kaluki, and then played Darlington after I've played that straight away. And then I got to the hotel and was like, you know what, I don't even want to sleep in a hotel bed, I just want to get home and get back in my own bed, do you know what I mean? So came all the way back, and in terms of like, you're saying stay healthy, I mean, that was tiring. Like, I remember being on a plane, I felt like physically exhausted, but it was only one gig. I mean, but it was just the travel side of things was just like, and because I was up so early in the morning, it was just, the waiting round in the airport and all that kind of thing plays its part. Do you get what I mean? I always remember like coming back on a train from Euston just to Liverpool. I was playing in London, and it was like, so trapped, and I just felt so like physically sick, do you get what I mean? Just wanted to get off the train because it was just too much, do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I prefer to just get home straight after the gig than to go back to the hotel when you're finishing the set at say 6 a.m. Say if you're on 4 till 6, and then by the time you've had the kip, you've had like 3 hours kip or whatever, do you know what I mean? And then you're back on a train or going wherever you need to go. I actually feel worse after 3 hours sleep than what I would with no sleep, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I think
So
I think that's like just the learning side of things. Is like I'm still constantly learning with the gigs. You know, I'm not playing 30 gigs a month. I'm not playing 20 gigs a month. You know what I mean? But they are getting, there's more and more gigs to get them in, and I'm still understanding myself and trying to stay as healthy as can be for that.
So could you walk us through how you maybe try and stay healthy on that side of things? Do you eat healthy, or is there anything you've got in place to kind of help you with that?
That's bad because I don't really eat that good because I'm always in the studio. But I mean, just trying to like not drinking through the week. You get what I mean? Like I'll have a few bevies sometimes, you know, when I'm DJing, but I'm nowhere near bevying as much as what I used to be. But I'd never like be absolutely rotten before a set. Do you get what I mean? After me set, yeah, I'll have a party. You know what I mean? But I'm just trying to stay healthy. You know. Don't party too hard, and sometimes don't go like I'm not doing the after parties and stuff like that as much as what I used to be. Do you get what I mean? Like you know, if I want to do an after party or whatever, I'll make sure that I'm not playing the next day or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My thing is like I've actually just moved over to the Whittle, which is like so much better for me because it's so quieter over here, and it's like. Surrounded by more like countryside than when I was living in Liverpool in the city. And it was just like, because I chose to move over here because it was constantly like, you know, in the city, and it was just going from place to place. It was just too busy, to get what I mean, and being over the side's a lot more calmer and chilled. So, you know, feel kind of like happier and mentally more focused with the music and stuff like that. So, you know, that could help you, you know what I mean? Surround yourself by a bit more grass than all the buildings.
So you might have just actually answered this question, but it could be in the form of time, money or energy. In, say, the past 5 years, have you had any, like, really worthwhile investments you've made into yourself? Whether that could be moving home or taking up a new hobby or even a piece of, like, a new synth or anything?
Honestly, you know what, obviously just being able to do this full time was like the biggest investment. Do you get what I mean? Like with having Kuruba take off the way it did made me become Kinnerman in a way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So time and like dedicating my life was probably the biggest investment. Like there's nothing more I could say. My only thing to people is like, see loads of people buying all the studio equipment, for example, and just spending loads and loads of money getting modular synths and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? It's like, you don't need it all. Do you get what I mean? Like I've got a really nice studio, and I've got Muxo 37 and Sub Fatties and all these different synths and outboard equipment and this, that, the other. I don't use it all the time, but I've got a studio that's got to offer them things too. Do you get what I mean? So I tend to do need it, but if I was like, I've got a home studio where I am now, and it's literally just, you know, Genelecs and tiny bit of outboard, but I wouldn't be in here to mix down and all that kind of stuff. Do you get what I mean? It's just knocking up tunes to get on there. Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Just invest your time and never stop learning, because you'll never know it all, and how I work is different to other people and how they work. So, you know, if you learn from me, go and learn off others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. It is a minefield after all, and it's all finding your own preference, isn't it, in everything, especially sound alone. It's an art, it's creativity. You don't want to, like, emulating's great for learning how to do it, but to build your own career in sound, you've got to just go down your own route and find your own path, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, to date, what's the biggest challenge you've faced, maybe as Kinnerman or in your previous years under James Kinnerman? What could you walk me through maybe your biggest challenge and how you've got past it, or maybe you're still working past it?
Well, it was just like the constant burden of just trying to get replies and trying to worm your way into the industry. And I think the biggest thing that I learned was like, I was always like just sat behind the computer and just sending these demos over to people and that. Do you get what I mean? And like hoping for the best, and I was never getting replies. But whereas like, I'm sure it's like yourself, you know, if you get an email of so-and-so or whatever, you got like, say, 100 emails a day, and they're all random names, and then you see my name, and then you see someone else's name or whatever, you're probably going to click the people's names that you know, or that you speak to, or, you know, that are friends or something. And I found that, like, I was always trying to look at this as like it was some sort of like professor stuff that was happening, or like, for example, record label would be like, we only accept demos via this email. So I always used to send it that email. Do you get what I mean? And I'd never get replies. So in the end, I was like, you know what? Sod the email. I'm not doing it. Do you get what I mean? I'll turn up to a club.
Yeah.
And I just remember I turned up to a club in Liverpool, and there was an LDMS night, Liverpool Dance Music Society. And they had Darius Rossi, and I waited until the end. And I went up to Darius. I was like, Darius, can I show you my track? And he's like, yeah, just email me, man. And literally, because it was finished, he was like just pulling out his headphones and, like, you know what I mean? And I went to, I've got it up now, showing him the sound card link, put his headphone jack, unscrewed it and put it in my phone. I was like, just listen now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what, you're keen, you. That's good, that, man. And then he gave me his number and that. And then, obviously, you know, got in touch with him there, and then obviously going to Ibiza and partying and meeting all these people. That helped, to get what I mean, like, wiggle me way in kind of thing, because you're more likely to get a reply if they know you, and you think, you know what, that kid's sound, you know what I mean? Like, let's have a listen to his stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? So instead of, you know, Nigel, Graham, Billy, Bob, you know, all these emails, you don't have a clue you're hard, you've never heard of you. Go and put your face to the name.
Yeah. And physically is the best way to do it, whether it's out partying or even, I know, I think it was Liam Daly or Arturi who's called now. I think he went all the way to like Sweden just to meet, I can't remember who it was. And from that, he built that connection, because it is all about meeting in person.
And it's like travelling to ADA and just standing around and just literally going hello to people is like, you know, for example, when people say spending all that kind of money to go to ADA or whatever, you know, when like I was trying to break through, and I'd be like, it's an investment into your career. It's like buying a piece of equipment, you get what I mean? But it's actually more special than that. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
totally.
like, you know, you're making a friendship that could last a lifetime, which is priceless. Do you get what I mean? You can't even put a bit of money on that. Like, the people I know from going to ADE and BPM Festival and all this kind of stuff, it's like, you know, mate, I went to Sonar last year just to party and ended up playing an Elrow. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, because I was there and I didn't even pay for one entry into any club, to get what I mean? Just got guest list everywhere, and he was boss, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally hardly bought a drink out there, nothing, do you get what I mean? It's just literally getting things lashed at me because of going to ADA and going to all these places and meeting people and speaking to people and networking. Do you get what I mean? That's gone, you know, I've got this guy's number, I've got, you know, I speak to him, or I'm signed to Steve Lawler's label so I can walk into Pasha and, you know, get behind and see Steve. You know what I mean? Which is actually a funny story, I'll tell you that, because I was outside Pasha with my mate Danny. So we're trying to get in, and this bouncer's like massive, and he's like, sorry guys, you can't come in, guest list closed. And we've just missed guest list by 5 minutes. So like, oh, no way, you know what I mean? Gutted. And then I reached into my back pocket and I found a band from the night before. And I remember saying to Danny, take your band from Pasha, because we were backstage the night before, yeah? So take that with us just in case, you know what I mean? Like, we can't get hold of Steve to get us in, you know what I mean? So anyway, Steve did put us on the list, but obviously guest list was shut, so I ended up buying a pack of Chewies, spat this chew out of my hand, stuck this band together from the night before, and just walked past the bouncer 30 seconds later, and he was looking at me like, how have you just got a band? You know what I mean? And the reason why I knew it was the same colours was because he was holding all these bands in his hand, waving them about, and I was like, okay, so the red one must be for backstage tonight still, to get him in. And like, how stupid can a club be to keep the same colour bands? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Night. So I walked in, and then as soon as I walked in, Steve Lawler's been playing at Tracker Man, and I was like, yes, buzzing, you know what I mean? I've tapped him and he said, man, being like, wow, that's mad, you know what I mean? I'm playing your tune, you've just turned up. Crazy.
Do you know what, something I'm really learning about you, James, is like, you're just like so defiant and confident, like going up to someone, and it's just, you just go at it, don't you? You just literally go at it, and you just want to get like stuff done, whether it's making the music or whether it's getting someone to listen to someone or getting into a club. Being like defiant and finding a way to do it, that is like kind of the uncommon way, would you say?
Yeah, you know what, man, it's like I spent all them years being a shy person and like just waiting for things to happen. Doesn't work out, do you get what I mean? You want something done, you just gotta go and do it. Like, what's the worst thing? You know, you send a demo to a label. Sorry, we can't take it. Not for us. Okay, we're gonna sign it. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? You spent all the time not being confident all those years. That probably could have been further than what I was. You get than what I am now. If I was confident, and I think, you know what, you've just got to be a bit cheeky and just walk in and just be like, here I am. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm about, and that's what I have to offer. Do you know what I mean? And I'm here to learn and be humble. Do you know what I mean? Respect everyone in this scene, because it ain't just about you. Like, the only reason that I'm where I am is not just because of me. I play all sorts of other people's music, you know what I mean? If it went for all them spending all their time producing, my sets wouldn't be as good as what they are, because, you know what I mean? I've got to respect every producer around me, and I do, and most importantly the people that turn up to the clubs, do you know what I mean? They're the most important to me, because that's who it's all about. That's what drives me to do what I'm doing.
I totally love that. As you said before, it's all about community.
Yeah, totally, man.
So we are unfortunately coming to an end to the podcast, but I do have one question before my final one, and it is, this could be on a local, national or international scale, but what change would you like to see in the music industry in the next 3 to 5 years?
Big on there, like. Feel that, you know what, the industry's good at the moment. Like, it's going in a good way. You know, there's loads of females breaking through, and kind of like, I feel like that's more accepted in the industry than what it was. It was always accepted, but I mean, you know, I personally think I'd like to see a bit more of the underground, kind of like, you know, it's less of the genre bashing, do you get what I mean? Like, everyone's kind of like quick to jump up and go, yeah, this is crap genre and this is the good genre, and like, look, music's an art. Do you know what I mean? Like, each genre has its good and its bad. It's just opinion. But I think a lot of people are kind of like too far up their own arse, if I'm totally honest, about this whole, you know, you can't like drum and bass if you're into Tech House. Well, you can. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I think I'd probably want to see that a little bit more. Like, we're all, you know, you can walk into a Tech House night and see your biggest DJs playing, and then in room 2 you've got jungle or something, and room 3 you've got hip hop or something. You know, I know that's happened before, but, you know, a bit more varied kind of stuff, because I'm a big fan of all genres. You know what I mean? Yeah,
totally understand that.
But that's it, really. I mean, that's a very picky question. Like, it's not a big not a big deal to me, but I don't know. That's probably what I've got to mind at the moment.
Awesome. So, what's next for Kinnerman? Where can people find you online?
Okay, so just at Kinnerman Music across all socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. What's next for me? I've got a release on Elrow Music with Pirate Copy next month, an EP called Disco Chief. I've got lots and lots of new music coming out soon. I won't say too much more on that, but yeah, the only one that I can announce is Elrow next month. And then gigs wise, I've got Ibiza all over the UK. Just keep up to date on my socials if you want to keep up to date what I'm doing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, James, for being a guest on the podcast. It's been seriously insightful, so thank you very much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with us.
Hey, no problem. Cheers. Thank you.
No problem. What an episode with Kinnerman. I'd like to say a huge thank you to James for being on the show. He's been so honest and offered so much insight. If you could also say thanks to Kinnerman, that would also mean a lot. Finally, I would like to say a huge thank you to you. You've been so engaged in the podcast, whether you're new, whether you're a recurring listener. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to be able to share the podcast with you. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please do subscribe. We have new episodes coming out all the time, so please don't miss out on them. And if you are listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, please do rate and review us. Be honest, any feedback we get, we take in, and we look at making this community and the podcast better and better to be the most impactful and valuable to you. On that note, I would like to once again say a huge thank you to Help Musicians UK for being our brand new partner, and I'd also like to once again really signpost the Music Minds Matter listening ear and support service. It's there for anyone who works in the music industry and is struggling. Please use it if you need it, and please do put it in your phone, in your contact list, in case someone around you needs it. So once again, please contact Music Minds Matter day or night on 0808 802 8008 or email mmm@helpmusicians.org.uk. Your Music Industry Podcast returns next week, but until then, I hope you have a superb, creative and productive time. And yeah, make sure to tune into the next episode and share this podcast with someone that you think will enjoy it. See you next week.